Premenopause is your happy phase. Primarily, what most people think we require our sex hormones for are a slight incline that the hormones are playing.
Why are eating carbs so important?
There are 5 fingers of nutrition: carbohydrates,
Kitchen carbs that we must eat.
every Indian khana, your roti, makai ki roti, ragi ki roti.
A lot of women today who are perimenopausal, postmenopausal, what is the ideal food items? What are those 5 non-negotiables that they should include in their diet?
You should include in your daily routine or in your daily nutrition box.
Welcome to We Connect. Today at We Connect, we welcome Pooja Makhija, celebrity nutritionist, to Meera Kapoor, Shahid Kapoor, Ranbir Kapoor. She's really got the Kapoors on her fingertips, and none other than the stunning Deepika Padukone. She's here to share her story, tips, hacks, because Pooja's food pyramid is going to be a game changer for all of us. Hi guys, this is Vibhuti Arora and welcome to We Connect, a safe zone that I am creating to talk about wisdom and wellness, where beauty extends beyond the mirror. In this podcast, I will be inviting experts from different areas of life, those who can help us heal our soul. Unite or start conversations which go deeper in the anti-aging segment, whether it is your mental health, your daily habits, that tiredness that doesn't go, or the food, nutrition aspect of life that all of us tend to ignore. This is a conversation or a space created for you, for our reunion or union of our mind, body and soul. We'll extend beyond fads and filters and get real with conversations which are science-backed. People who know their trade and have helped thousands or millions across the globe. Together here, I invite you to connect at We Connect, because together we heal, grow and glow. Welcome Pooja on We Connect.
Hello, my love. Thank you. Pleasure being here.
Thank you. So, Pooja, I want to keep the conversation casual, something that I know a gazillion women come to you since you're the best in the trade when it comes to food and well-being. A lot of women today who are perimenopausal, postmenopausal, face issues when it comes to food items. And they say that adaptogens are the new estrogens. Can you please elaborate?
Okay, first, I think it's very important to explain the timeline when you talk about menopause.
Yeah.
So let's understand that timeline first, because many are very confused between pre, peri, and post.
Correct.
Right? Menopause. So pre-menopause is your happy phase where periods are regular and hormones are lovely, you're making babies. Primarily, what most people think we require our sex hormones for. That is the pre-menopause phase, and then we enter into peri. Perimenopause is a hugely long phase. It can last anywhere between 2 to 10 years. We see women it's ideally supposed to be in your late 30s, early 40s to your menopause period, which is in your late 40s, early 50s.
So let's assume if someone's in their late 30s and the period's irregular, or there are cravings which come in every now and then, how do you understand to start with that, okay, now I might be going into premenopause?
Perimenopause. So how is it that you find out? So we are told hot flashes and irregular cycles or missing cycles are the two predominant symptoms of perimenopause, but that isn't reality. There are more than 47 to 57 symptoms of perimenopause, starting from a tingling sensation in your feet, sleepless or not perfect sleep like you used to get before, whether it is forgetting small things, whether it is brain fog, whether it is moodiness, there are so many. Okay, now things like dry, itchy eyes and headaches and tingling sensations, which not necessarily always mean that these are perimenopause signs. There can be nutritional deficiencies, but there are lots of an array of symptoms when you talk about perimenopause, not just irregular cycles. But clearly, when your cycles, and when you say irregular cycles, you don't say you'll start missing them. Okay, but the flow changes. When it was very light, suddenly becomes very heavy. If it was only for 3 days, but it now lasts for 7 days, or vice versa. Right. You used to get a good 7-day flow, now it's only shortened to a 3-day cycle. it was never painful, now it's very painful, or it was always painful and suddenly it's not painful. Any changes are a slight incline that the hormones are playing their orchestra of movement.
Right.
Okay?
Now, let's assume someone has understood that they are in this stage. What is the ideal food items? What are those 5 non negotiables that they should include in their diet?
So, when I will give you all tips through this entire episode, they are not predominantly based on only one health format, whether it is their perimenopause or it is any ailments that may bother you, but there are a few non-negotiables that you should include in your daily routine or in your daily nutrition box, which will always keep you geared or equipped towards better health, vitality, hair, skin, all of which we want throughout our lifespan, whether we are teenagers, whether we are perimenopausal, postmenopausal. So I just wanted to complete on that note that perimenopause is a very long period. Okay, Indian women are told to enter menopause earlier than Western women. Okay, average age in the world is about 51 years, but Indian women go through menopause at the age of 46.7 average.
Right.
There were studies done of late of even very young girls in their late 20s entering.
Wow.
Yeah, there was a study done on Kashmiri girls
Right.
because of the trauma and the stress and the lifestyle that they perhaps lead or the excessive trauma that they've been through that is putting them into menopause even in their late 20s. Okay,
Wow.
so what we're trying to highlight from this phase is it is something that we have to recognize. It isn't something that you can do something about immediately, but the non-negotiables of self-care then come knocking on your door saying, hello, ho gayi masti, now let's get serious. Okay, so things that I will call an absolute, so it's called a Menothrive kit, which that I explain when I'm consulting menopause women, is non-essentials is first I'll start with exercise. Okay, things that are in your hand.
Yeah.
Okay, now exercise doesn't have to be tiring, monotonous, tedious, heart racing. You have to wear particular keds and particular track pants. Exercise basically means moving this body against gravity. Okay, so you do anything that makes you happy, whether it's a walk and talk, whether it's walking your dog, whether it is gossiping and chatting with your friends and calling that your exercise, and also your me time when you're actually learning how to vent the emotions out. Any movement, and especially in the perimenopause stage, that bit of strength training or weight bearing exercises becomes important, because as the progesterone and estrogen levels are weaning, they are also affecting your bones, right? So your bones have cells that are receptors that are required for progesterone and estrogen, and when they don't get it, the bones become weaker. And as we see, our mums and grandmoms, even though they may have perfect skin, they have ailing knees and they have ailing back problems. That's something we don't want. So if you want to keep the osteoblasts within your bones well mobilized, make sure you're doing some form of strength training. It could be weight bearing, resistance, jumping jacks, any of them. A, they increase lymphatic drainage. B, they keep your bones strong. So any kind of movement is one non-negotiable. Second non-negotiable is adequate water. If you're dehydrated, every cell in your body bears the brunt of it. And with weaning levels of progesterone and estrogen, that's affecting every cell in your body. Okay? We were told progesterone and estrogen are your sex hormones required for you to make babies and have a regular period cycle, but that's not its job. Okay? We have receptors for them in our brains, in our eyes, in our tongue, in our heart, in our liver, in our lungs, everywhere. So anyways, the progesterone is reducing. Now, if hydration or water is inadequate, again, the mitochondria and the cells aren't able to do an adequate job. So hydration, and when we say hydration, it's not just water, guys, because we're supposed to be drinking mineral water.
I was just going to come to this, that, there's also a study that having plain regular water is not enough, or it's not hydration. How do you actually optimize the water? What can we add that it starts to hydrate, or the absorption rate of water in the bloodstream increases?
So the thing here we have to remember is that nature or God made us to be able to get access to mineral water, okay? But then came industrialization and pollution, and then what happened is that our water became polluted, and then we needed filters, and we got an array of filters that are doing the job of removing the toxins, that are doing the job of removing the impurities, but also leaching out the minerals that was present in the water. Okay, H2O is, when we say drink water, we don't only mean H2O, we mean mineralized water, because when we lose water from our body, we're not just losing plain water. Our salt, our tears, our urine is not simple water. Okay, it is electrolyte enriched water. So just replace it. A little crystal of khadi namak, pink salt, Celtic salt, Baja salt, any salt, a little crystal of salt and on your tongue, and then drink a glass of water, so that you are getting mineralized water, which is actually hydrating you. The water which is actually going from your mouth to your, absorbed into your system, then going from extracellular to intracellular, where it's doing their job. We don't want mouth to bladder, bladder to pot. And the minute you will start taking this crystal, you will realize that this frequent pani pio bathroom jao phenomena also stops. You'll be able to, because the water is actually doing the job. It's actually mobilizing internally where it's supposed to do the job, not just externally where you're going to the pot directly.
Absolutely. Coming back to the perimenopausal, so
the exercise, the water, the proteins, very, very crucial, because as we lose progesterone and estrogen, we are having more muscle wasting. So along with the strength training, your diet is to be enriched to give the body that kind of protein intake. So focus on proteins is there all throughout life. When we are growing, we need it. When we are in puberty, we need it. When we are pregnant, we need it. When we are lactating, we need it. And we really need it when we are in perimenopause. So keep your eyes on for good quality functional protein from your plate. It does not mean that I am recommending protein shakes and protein bars and shortcut methods to get your protein. That's tip 3. Tip 4 is actually a chicken and an egg situation. As you enter perimenopause, quality and quantity of sleep becomes affected. But the more you help yourself with more exercise, more water, and physically and mentally tiring yourself, and therefore getting your 7 hours of quality sleep, that is how your body resets, your body adjusts, repairs, heals. So you need sleep. Yes, sleep becomes a very precious commodity. You want to, but you can't. So all the things that everyone else may be talking about, whether it is blue light and temperatures and
magnesium,
you can take supplements, of course, and adaptogens, of course, and lavender and everything, and calm and peace, and hopefully everything that helps you get that quality of sleep.
So before we move further, if you could give us a few, food items which are magnesium rich, adaptogenic teas that we can make at home before bed. And I've also read that just before bed having green tea is not a good idea. That's again a debatable topic. If you can touch notes on both.
That's only because green tea has a tad bit amount of caffeine. Okay, so I would do anything that has 0 caffeine just before sleeping. So any flower enriched tea. So chamomile, jasmine, like a curcumin, turmeric, pepper latte, or a tea, or a cumin tea, or a cinnamon tea. Any of these natural ones are far better. That help you fall asleep as well and are not messing with your sleep cycles, right? It's only because green tea has a tad bit amount of caffeine. But things you can do at home is anything that you have access to and you want to do at that time. So, for example, many people can't sleep on an empty stomach. And if you eat something very heavy, you're going to mess up the quality of sleep. But the only thing that can easily give you good fat and magnesium would be 5 almonds, for example. Just, like almonds which are fat rich, so they keep you full and let you sleep throughout. Magnesium rich, so they're going to help you sleep again. So I would do things like almonds or a few seeds which you've kept by your bedside. And if you're very hungry, you nibble on those, but you don't overdo it.
So, Pooja, this counters the practice that our dadi nanis have taught us, that subah uthe ke 5 badam khao. But you're saying that having it at night is actually better or more beneficial in certain situations, with a caveat?
I would say each to its own. Okay, I'm not saying that eating first thing in the morning badam is wrong. It's lovely. Okay, Because fat first starts your day on a note where your stomach is getting good nutrition, which is going to slow down glucose absorption. So fat first is fabulous. Now it depends on how many badams you're allowed in a day. If you are, have 5 in the morning, have 5 in the night. Okay, so the idea here is portion control, and the idea here is how are you starting your day? Is it more convenient for you to start your day with almonds, or are they more convenient to have it by your bedside? Because at night, who wants to walk and go to the kitchen and get something to eat? So depending on what works for you, there isn't a right or a wrong. Please understand, this body is a self-healing machine, marvelous machine that God has created with I don't know how many visions in his head when he decided that every organ gets, and it can heal and figure it out. So I may be eating the almonds for magnesium, but my body needed the good fat from it, which is helping perhaps my eyesight or my joints or my brain health. The body knows where to use what where. आपने जो purpose के लिए खाया सिर्फ वो purpose नहीं solve होने वाला है. The body will decide where the nutrition bank is needed, where those things are required, and on all levels it can heal itself, it can nurture itself. Our job is to realize that we have been given one marvelous, magnificent machine. That is our responsibility to love, nurture, and take care of. That's the first thing I want you listeners to understand, is that this is the one vehicle we get to enjoy this human life on earth. Okay, and it's a privilege to be born human. And it's a privilege to have this machine make us enjoy this experience called life. But if we disrespect this body, we eat for convenience, we eat for taste, we eat as a stress buster, we eat because I'm celebrating, rejoicing, traveling, doing justice to the buffet, doing justice to the business class seat, then I'm doing injustice to this magnificent body I have been gifted. Your first job, your first role, your first responsibility, your first kartavya to take care of this body and what this body wants. Eat to give your body what your body wants. Your body apne aap will give you what you want. So when we run behind things like great skin and great hair and great body and great shape and great liver and lungs, your body knows how to do that. Okay, your body knows how to do that. We can help ourselves with the aids. But if you have to first give your body the basic nutrition it requires to do that from inside.
So, so now this brings me to two very, very fun questions. Fat first is something that you spoke about. Ayurveda talks about ghee first thing in the morning with warm water. Now, a lot of people do not like that practice or do not like the taste of ghee. So, how do they incorporate it to start with? The latter half of my question is, again, fat first for joint health, for brain health. What are some collagen boosting, again, good fat food items that one can include in their day-to-day?
Okay. So if you don't like ghee first thing in the morning, you take another sat fat, for example, coconut oil. Okay, many people do like the taste of coconut oil. So you have a teaspoon of coconut oil, if not a teaspoon of ghee. You don't like coconut oil, you don't like ghee, you eat badam. Any type of good fat. You don't want to eat ghee, badam, you want to have avo. Abhi jo aapko accessible hai, jo aapko acha lagta hai. Fat first is only a funda. Yes, it helps you with your hair and your skin and it lines your tummy. But also fat first is a preventive mechanism to not let caffeine touch your stomach first. Okay. See, remember our stomach is a single wall cell.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Single cell or single cell wall.
Yeah.
Okay, so we cannot afford to put caffeine on an empty stomach like we would like to have our bed tea and a cup of coffee. That's the wrong thing. So making fat first, you have prevented two things. One is you have not let caffeine touch an empty single cell stomach wall. Two is that you have given your body a metabolic boost to say, I'm preventing sugar spikes because fat is first lying in my tummy before the sugar sets in. Now, whether it came from a poha or from a biscuit or sadly a donut or a muffin or cereal. Okay, sad ways to start your day, but many do use that.
But this also then counters for many people who are doing intermittent fasting or even in yoga as a practice. You know, we like to eat 1 meal a day, 2 meals a day. How does that counter? Where does this come in? This is a completely different school of thought.
See, fat first can be done even on IF. Okay. Intermittent fasting, the right way to do intermittent fasting is to skip dinner. not to skip breakfast like most people are doing for convenience. I'll have my dinner at 8, 9, 10 because I come home late from work and I like to eat with my family or blah, blah. So I eat a late dinner and then I have a late start in the morning. Now, that's not IF. That's convenience.
Yeah.
Intermittent fasting is how our ancestors taught us. Okay, sunrise, sunset pattern. You finish your dinner by 5 max 6 to start your day by 9 max 10. And then you can do fat first, and then you can enjoy your caffeine, and then you can go about the routine days.
That
So intermittent
makes-
fasting is fabulous for those who can do it, but you have to do it right.
That makes so much sense because now the principles of Ayurveda, intermittent fasting, yoga,
All align.
all align
All
together.
align. See, remember, whatever our ancestors did, today we are learning it as intermittent fasting and chronobiology and things like that. But they had some PhD in nutrition and human body physiology without doing even a basic nutrition course, right?
Absolutely.
That's the knowledge that our Vedas have. Okay, so but we have to vibe with it. We have to believe in it. We have to go back to roots because our ancestors knew best.
Yeah. The latest Harvard study shows that vitamin D is the new anti-aging solution towards fine lines and glowing skin. What are your thoughts on it?
Oh, Vitamin D came into highlight during COVID when we realized that those with low vitamin D levels had double chances of dying out of COVID. That's where vitamin D was always glorious, but it was usually looked upon as a vitamin which is required along with calcium for your bones.
Yeah.
But come COVID, everyone started to realize, see, many did know that vitamin D is a very important, it was supposed to be removed from the category of vitamins and put in the category of hormones because it's that important for your body. Okay, it not only is important for your skeletal health, but it's important for your hormonal health, all forms, your immunity, your liver function, your heart function, everything. There are studies that will indicate low vitamin D levels leads to increase in osteoporosis. Low vitamin D leads to a reduction in immunity by 50%. Low vitamin D causes trouble in the liver. So there are clinical studies to prove that vitamin D affects every organ in our body. Okay. So the idea here is to understand the importance of vitamin D and then use vitamin D to our advantage. See, it's one vitamin, but this magnificent body uses it everywhere that you want. So whether it's your hormone health, whether it is your skin health, whether it is your brain health, whether it is your immunity against COVID or anything that life is going to throw at us, we have to just take the vitamin D.
And what are the basic supplements that a woman post 30, 35 must have in her day to day?
Okay, sorry, I'm going to go back to the vitamin D.
Yeah.
Because God made the body,
Yeah.
God made these vitamins, and God said vitamin D is crucial. It's not a chota mota.
That's why the sun on
Yeah.
top for all of us.
That's why vitamin D is going to be made free. Whether you eat, you don't have to eat, you don't have to be able to afford vitamin D. You will get vitamin D from the sun with the exposure to the sun. That's how important vitamin D is and was.
Yeah.
But then now looking at our pollution layers, our overloaded livers that aren't being able to convert the inactive form of vitamin D to the active form of vitamin D, or the pollution layers that are not letting us absorb the UV free light, or the overuse of sunscreens that are not letting us absorb the vitamin D, we all are vitamin D deficit.
Yeah.
A study showed that 99% Indians are vitamin D deficit. Now that's a huge number that we're talking about.
Considering the amount of sun we get in most part of India.
No, we are a tropical country. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, what are now we can't. One aspect is having oral vitamin D, but the synthesis has to be initiated at a cellular level. We get that. What are the food items or what are the practices that one should do to increase the vitamin D quotient?
See, vitamin D conversion happens in your liver, and most of us have sluggish liver systems. Okay, alcoholic fatty liver, sabko pata hai, but non-alcoholic fatty liver is a very growing problem.
Yeah.
In our country and amongst those who are using convenience eating, packaging food, simple carbohydrates, lack of proteins. So what we are all getting are the non-alcoholic fatty livers, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. And it's there among even skinny girls that I see. It's not only a problem in overweight individuals, but even the skinny fat people that Indians are very likely to be.
Yeah.
It's a thrifty gene syndrome that Indians go through, and therefore we have far more a tendency to store, and therefore our livers have become sluggish. A, because of the surplus fat in it. B, because of the environmental toxins. See, the detoxification chamber in our body is our liver.
Yeah.
And if our liver is always overloaded because we are sadly not giving our body the right kind of nutrition, everything around us has toxins, including our beauty products and our perfumes, our livers are sluggish. So, therefore, this active site where the vitamin D is synthesized or is converted to its active form, the process slows down. So what do? Is we try to do as simple liver detoxes or give the body aids like milk thistle that helps your liver detox. Of course, cut back on alcohol, cut back on sugars and simple carbohydrates so that your body, you're giving your liver a chance to be healthy so that then it manages its job. We said the body is self-healing, but the organs are tired and overloaded and we just have to detox the.
Is there a liver detox drink that one can have, and what is the recipe for it and the duration? Because sometimes people go on an overdrive and they start having that juice every day. So give me a liver detox recipe and the consumption. Like, how often can we have it in any form?
The simplest thing perhaps to make would be take, say, about half a raw beetroot, okay, along with a small piece of ginger and fresh haldi. Blend it up together. You could strain it, or I would prefer to keep the roughage so that you can slow down the absorption. A little pinch of pepper because it will enhance the absorption of the curcumin from the turmeric. And shoot it immediately. You have to make it and drink it immediately. You can't say banao and then drink it after 10 hours. It's useless. Or keep it. It's one small shot. We are curtailing the amount of the beetroot because we don't want a sugar spike. So you curtail it so it can be had by people with any kind of problems as well. And I would do it about 4 to 5 times a week to help your body detox, cleanse. So most vegetable juices will help you do that. Okay, so play with the vegetable juices. Sometimes you put a little tulsi or neem in it. Sometimes you put basil in it. Sometimes you put mint in it. All of these, nature has a galore of nutrition and hidden potent nutrition in their leaves. Pan leaves, for example, help us.
Giloy leaves as well, right?
Yeah.
So do you think this will not just be a liver detox but an immunity booster as well, depending on the nature of the meats?
Because we're putting ginger and curcumin? Yeah, it is. So it is basically it is a boost or a shot of nutrition.
And can we start giving it to kids? Like,
why not?
From the age of 5 or 6?
Why not? And it's one small glass, right? It's not a big that they have to fuss and drink over. It's one immunity shot that you just take.
The whole family can take.
You can make it for everyone, and everyone starts their day. Cheers! They make it a family ritual. Make it a cheers morning routine. Do it as in the evening routine. Is there a better time to take it? No. Just take it any time of the day that suits your convenience, where you can make it and immediately consume it. That's the key.
Now, Pooja, if you had to design a skin food plate for breakfast, what would your ideal food items be?
Skin food. Okay. Start with fat first. It just prevents the sugar spike. When the sugar spike is there, remember, anything that causes a spike in your sugar levels is bad for everything, including acne. Okay. So we don't want the sugar spike, so we are using fat first. In my opinion, one of the best ways to start your day for overall health and good skin is an accessory to that, is starting your day with a savory, protein-rich breakfast. Cut out the sugar, cut out the high carb. It's a protein-rich breakfast. So whether you did an array of vegetables in your egg omelette or in your chila omelette, so you got the fiber and the roughage and all the colors. So you put different colors, bell peppers, you put tomato, kanda, coriander, green chili. It's great vitamin C for your skin, for your nasal passages, for your sinuses. Remember, everything goes hand in hand with the body. You give your body one aspect of nutrition, it manages the rest. So you start your day with a protein-rich breakfast. So any form of an egg. vegetarian or not, and then you couple it with a little bit of carb with some amount of good fat on it. If you have access to an avocado, great. You don't, एक pesto paste बना लो, a few cashews or a few pine nuts with basil leaves. It's delicious, it's nutritious, it's accessible. You don't have to make it fresh. You can make a jar and use it for the week.
Yeah.
So you are adding the flavor, you're adding the taste, and you're making it a sumptuous breakfast that you enjoy every morning.
Lovely, lovely. Now, coming to your thoughts, you know, a lot of people, yes, do skip breakfast and then have that one meal, or have breakfast and lunch and dinner and then pop in a Zempic or another pill. What are your thoughts on this and how does it affect your overall health?
Skipping breakfast, I think, is the most stupidest thing that you could do if you want to give your body a jump start. Okay, it's like driving your car all day but not turning on the engine. धक्के मार के चला रहे हो. So breakfast is that jump start. Okay, it is breaking fast. You haven't eaten the whole night where your body has cleansed, detoxed, rejuvenated, and now it needs the fuel to start the day. For all those people who say, I'm not hungry in the mornings, change it. If you will notice, most metabolically lean people are those who are ravenous, like a shale to eat a good breakfast. Okay, so be hungry. Being hungry first thing in the morning means that your body is ready to start the day with ferocious nutrition and therefore a ferocious metabolic rate.
Right.
So learn to enjoy your breakfast. Start small, apne aap, you will start enjoying breakfast. That's one important aspect that I want everyone to understand, that breakfast is a non-negotiable. Okay, your metabolic rate is the highest at sunrise, and you not eating then means you will put in that same nutrition in the latter end of the day where your metabolic rate is dropping. So it's stupidity to not put fuel in your car when you're driving it in the morning and then put extra fuel in your car when you're parking the car and it is not needed. Now a car can use the fuel tomorrow, your body can't. If you're going to eat a big dinner, which is what most of us land up doing if you're skipping meals, because ghar pe hain, garam garam khana, family ke saath, you land up eating a big dinner, but your body can't burn it. Your body is going to store it. So please learn to enjoy a good breakfast. Sorry,
No.
what was the next question?
The question was, what are your thoughts on Ozempic and Mounjaro?
Okay. So there are always going to be lures for people to find a shortcut to getting where they want. Okay. Today it's Ozempic, Mounjaro. Tomorrow there'll be something else. Yesterday there were many others. So there will always be. For those who have absolute zero metabolic health, okay, you are massively overweight, you are diabetic, you have high blood pressure, your heart is not working optimally, cutting down your weight is the most important thing for you to be able to survive this life. Do it. You can't move about, you can't walk about because your knees hurt because you're so overweight, therefore you can't walk. So if you're stuck in a loop, do it. But if you have the ability to move, you have the ability to control your nutrition, it's a shortcut. Simple. And shortcuts most often lead to dead ends.
So what are the side effects? Let's talk about that.
Tons. Go on Ozempic's website.
Yeah.
See, I don't want to list down a whole battery of side effects. The brand and the company itself has given you a whole list. They are clearly saying you have to take this for the rest of your life. Would you want to be dependent on a drug to look a particular way for the rest of your life? It's such a simple question to ask yourself. See, anything you start, and I'm sure you agree with that, Vibhuti, whether it is a skin regime, or it is a fitness regime, or it is a nutrition regime, or it is a dressing regime. Simple question ask karo, can I do this for the rest of my life? If you told me to get great skin, I have to wake up every day at 4 o'clock, ulta latko, drink water like this, do some
Kriya.
Okay. If you told me that is the only way to get good skin, till it's my wedding, till it's my party, and till I have that photo shoot, I might do it. But am I going to do it for the rest of my life?
It's a lifestyle change.
It's a lifestyle change. If you want glowing skin for the rest of your life, you have to do it for the rest of your life. If you want that particular body size for the rest of your life, are you willing to take a drug for it?
Yeah.
The question is yours. I'm not going to say it's the right thing to do. I'm not going to say it's the wrong thing to do. Ask yourself, you have one body. Would you want to experiment on it?
Coming to experimentation, a lot of people internationally, especially, have placenta, fresh placenta, human or pork, for good skin and good immunity, good health. Your thoughts?
Placentophagy, it's called. I don't know. It's a very new science, very debatable science. It's still in its very nascent stages. Apparently, because the placenta is very rich in oxytocin, it helps the mother have lesser postpartum depression. It is nutrient rich. It is progesterone, estrogen rich. So it prevents the fluctuations in her body. So some studies have indicated. But is it something that is recommended or done? There is no evidence-based study clinically proving its efficiency otherwise. So at the moment, it's very nuanced. I'm not going to say I know much about it, so there's not really something that I want to say karo ya mat karo. It's very nuanced, but I think first we need to study anything.
Yeah. So there's not enough science backing it just
Not yet. Not yet.
You also often talk about how antioxidants or oral sunscreen via antioxidants are the better alternative or the better way to go. If you can elaborate on it, and what are these antioxidants?
So, like I said, your body is a self-healing mechanism. Okay, so what damage the sun is causing, which is causing us to age, if we are able to give the nutrition from the inside, whether it is better quality vitamin C or better quality glutathione, which helps your skin repair. So that's what we are saying, that give the body the nutrition give the body the nutrition for it to heal and survive and prevent that layer that creates that aura of preventing pigmentation. See, the sun doesn't damage us. The sun is life. The sun is life giving. Okay. But yes, if you are going to sit down on the beach exposing yourself, then you need a tad bit of prevention. Now, you do it internally, you do it externally with external barriers, or you do it internally with adequate hydration, you do it internally with adequate vitamin C and antioxidant rich. So it prevents the free radical damage. What tends to happen with overexposure on the sun? We create more free radicals. Free radicals are these lonely cells that need to attach to something, and therefore they start causing damage to healthy cells, and that's what we want to prevent. That's why the free radical damage can be avoided with antioxidants like glutathione or vitamin C, ample hydration, and in general, good rest.
What are some natural sources or food items that can increase the glutathione levels or increase the antioxidant quotient of our body?
Better proteins. Everything comes down from better proteins.
Oh, really? I thought you would say berries.
Of course. See, your antioxidants, you'll get them from all the berries, right? But for the body to repair, how does the body repair?
Protein, muscles.
See, our warriors or our soldiers in our body, say for example, chot lagi, say for example, sun damage.
This is the example I give all the time for the auto healing response. Now we're talking muscle health. Everything circles down to basically muscle health.
Everything circles down to very simple things. My daughters will always tell me, Mama, your theories for everything will boil down to protein and water.
I love it.
Okay, because if they call me up saying, Mama, a period, my cramps are hurting, Mama acne, Mama anything, and I'll be like, anda khaya, pani piya, anda khaya, pani piya. Why? Is because if you give your body the raw material, it'll do the job. So when we're talking about better repair and healing, so when we're saying that your body went through free radical damage because of the sun or because of some stressful period in your life. See, remember, life will always have our highs and lows. Sometimes where nutrition is prime important, and sometimes when it goes on a little bit of a back burner. Anytime you want to repair from anything, you have to do the same basic fundamentals. Better hydration, better protein. Because your soldiers are your proteins.
You know, a lot of people tend to snack 4 p.m. and they go carb heavy. Can we give our viewers something which is rich in protein and not foxtail or makhana, please, but that they can nibble on, snack on for that 4-5 o'clock craving?
Protein rich?
Protein rich.
If you don't have access to a kitchen, I'll say 1 glass of sattu.
Nice.
Easy.
Yeah.
Okay, you're in the office, you're in the car, you're on a plane, you're in a train. Mix it up, shake it up. If you want to put it in chas or you want to put it in water, story
Love
closed.
it.
It's great, accessible, and it's delicious, and it's
Collagen
nutritious.
rich as well.
Nutrition. See, collagen needs protein, right?
Yeah.
The matrix is protein. So you give that. You have access to a kitchen. I would do any sprouts. There are so many. If you're bored of the moong mat, you do the bean sprouts. Okay, you do alfalfa sprouts. You do you can like a moong chaat. Like for me, any evening is a time of a chatpata snack.
Yeah.
I want something which is delicious. Okay, so I would do any kind of sprout with a little bit of vegetables, and I would even put the aloo. There's nothing wrong if you can portion control your aloo to one. With lots of vegetables and a nice rainbow colors of vegetables. And I love coriander and green chili because that enhances the taste of everything. I will always have a hari chutney, a fresh hari chutney kept in my fridge. It's a tikhi hari chutney. I will add that. I will add a dot of meaty chutney and a nice mix of a little bit of yogurt with chaat masala, very tasty. Put that up and slurp it down. It's wholesome, nutritious, fresh, easy to digest, filling, chatpata.
It's Pooja's healthy bhel. Basically, I am.
It hits the spot every time. For some, they find sprouts a little difficult to digest, then lightly steam it. It will aid the digestion. Which sprouts suit you? All sprouts are glorious. Get a little sprout maker. It's a chotu sa equipment. You'll get it on Amazon. They'll help you sprout all kind of beans, all kind of legumes, and enjoy it. We have the access to it. Yes, you need a little bit of pre-prep. अब डिसाइड किया तो अब स्प्राउट नहीं होने वाला है तो आप स्प्राउटेड पल्सेस अपने फ्रिज में रखिए दे डोंट लूज देयर न्यूट्रिटिव वैल्यू प्रोटीन्स आर नॉट लॉस्ट इफ दे आर कूल्ड और रीहीटेड or they are not denatured. So use this, keep the sprouts, and then you keep alternating with the prep in it. Sometimes you're bored of this moong chaat. You take the same sprouts, you take the aloo, you knead it up, you take a little bit of blended palak, you take a little bit of other vegetables like carrots and beans, and you have sauteed them and chopped them, and then you mix all of them up and make one nice protein cutlet and eat that with chutney. Or you use a little sourdough bread with it, make a nice sandwich. Basically get the proteins in. If you get the proteins in, the satiety that you get is and your body says thank you.
I will take a pause here, and when Pooja did this is actually also a yogic breath called the Ha breath, which lowers your stress levels, which lowers your cortisol levels, and innate when a child is born as well, they go if you just do this breath a couple of times every day, your stress levels will reduce by 50% drastically.
Wow, that's a good tip. I'm gonna, I've noticed that my dog does that. The minute he puts his head on the pillow and like I'm also sleeping, then he'll do.
Yeah,
Like-
as humans, it's that love. It's that. See, when your cortisol's lowered, you automatically get into that relaxed zone, right? Your body starts to switch off, and that's that temporary switch off.
That's such a nice thing to do. I'll do it more often. I usually just do it only to tell people that
Calm down.
everything will fall into place.
Yeah.
We are always so rushed. We are always, and the thing is that we want immediate gratification. अब किया, अब होना चाहिए. But जैसे वो sprout अब बोला अब नहीं होने वाला है.
Correct.
Things take time, but we have to learn how to slow down and say, okay, I have done what needs to be done. Now let the universe and the time take over and it will come. But I've also heard that humming does a similar effect like that.
Yes, so we call it the Brahmari breath. You could do it with the mudra, you could do it without the mudra. It also does so sound waves, right? Sound waves actually mimic brain waves, and they help you meditate. For anybody who has difficulty meditating, difficulty switching off, this is the best way to start. Nobody teaches you how to meditate, just start and that's
Or even humming a
song.
desi tune. Huh.
Even better. I haven't tried that. I will try that
No,
one.
because when I heard about humming, I was like, "ठीक है, even if I don't hum this and I hum a song that I like, it's humming, right?"
Nice.
And what about thumping? I
Oh
heard
yeah,
even that.
thumping is brilliant as well. Thumping is a form of EFT technique, right? Emotional freedom technique. So that helps in cell regeneration. It helps in the cells to actually start to cool down, lymphatic drainage. But this is not a face yoga podcast. I'm going to
No,
circle.
no. But tell me, thump. If you have to for the benefits to be seen, you have to thump for how long? You have to hum for how long?
So basically, you can go ideally, because it opens up all of the senses and the holes, the maximum number of
And it
holes.
produces more nitric oxide, and nitric
Correct.
oxide helps to dilate our vessels and therefore more oxygen.
Absolutely. So when you do that, you are basically giving yourself a mental switch off. You do that anywhere between 30 seconds to 30 seconds to 3 minutes, because that's the maximum a yogic asana should be. Anywhere above 3 minutes, you will not get the benefit of it, and your muscles will go now into a spasm or a stretch or a twitch, which you don't want. So again, good and bad. When it comes to EFT, or when it comes to, tapping, all of these techniques, again, the 30-second to 3-minute rule applies. Now, most of the lymph nodes are present where your collarbone is, and this is your terminus point. So I always say, for a woman, first thing in the morning or pre-shower, if she just goes and taps her underarm, taps her entire clavicle, it helps the whole cycle, the blood circulation, the urination, the lymphatic drainage initiation, toxin reduction. Basically, the cycles are set, right? I would love for you to add value here and tell me, PCOD, PCOS is a big issue, and that also needs cycle correction. If someone's in their 20s, early 20s, what are the food items that they should eat?
Now you're going to say, now like my daughters, you'll be like, Pooja, you're giving the same advice.
But it's
PCOD,
easy.
but PCOD is the same hormonal imbalance. It's not the same. It's a hormonal imbalance in your early teens, and PCOD does not occur in early teens. We've seen PCOS even in 40-year-old women. Okay, it's the hormone. It's the shift where the body is not being able to regulate the hormones naturally. So if you want the self-healing body to do it, you provide the same 5 raw materials: adequate hydration, adequate protein, adequate movement.
Yeah.
Now, movement will vary from a 16-year-old girl what movement she wants to do. So, for example, if I'm going to tell my daughter just walk on the treadmill, she's not going to do that. But if she's going to play pickleball, or she's going to run around, or she's going to pick up a sport that she enjoys, you have to enjoy the activity. So the minute you put a little bit of enjoyment into it, and you have to cut. See, it's a very simple funda that we said the sugar spikes is your trouble factor. Whether you're talking about hormones, whether you're talking about abdominal girth, whether you're talking about acne, okay, it's the sugar spikes that are causing it, right? The sugar spikes are causing the dental caries, the sugar spikes are causing our vision loss. Everything occurs when our blood sugar levels are going haywire. The blood sugar increases because of carbohydrate intake, which is why the poor carbohydrates are looked down upon and are said to be the worst foods to be eaten, but they are not. They are your energy givers. The key here is learn to dress your carbs up. Naked carbs is what causes sugar spikes.
Okay.
Just like we dress from the front and the back,
Right.
your carbs have to be covered both ways. If you learn the art of doing that, these sugar spikes are automatically regulated. What are clothes for carbs? Fiber and protein. Fiber is basically sabzi, cooked raw soup, salad.
Yeah.
Proteins are your dals, pulses, legumes, or chicken, fish, or your eggs. So if you know that with every carbohydrate-rich food, I have eaten equal proportions of fiber and protein, my sugar spikes are automatically balanced. Most people will dress their carbs up in disproportionate equations. Okay. Now, if I have a big body, I need an extra large shirt. I can't wear an extra small. Likewise, if you are going to be having a whole bowl of rice, you can't say I will have 2 broccoli frolets or 2 spoons of dal and call that adequate clothes. It has to be in a 1:1:1 ratio if you want to do justice to prevention of sugar spikes. So one of the most simplest hacks for those who have hormonal imbalance is to control these sugar spikes. Controlling sugar spikes, firstly, dress up your carbs, equal proportion. Second, change the order in which you eat.
Okay.
Okay, we are going to eat dal roti sabzi, or we are going to eat dal chawal sabzi, right? We said carbohydrate, roti ya chawal, dal is protein, and fiber or sabzi is your fiber. Change the way in which you put this into our mouth. यूजली हम क्या करेंगे, सबको साथ में मिक्स करके खाएंगे, या रोटी को सब्जी डालेंगे, उसको दाल में डुबोएंगे, and we will have that. Instead, do 50% veggies first. If you can do like a little bit of a raw salad, kakri, tomato, gajar, they don't have to be fancy kale, avocado, mango salads. They can be simple things like kakri, tomato, gajar, little bit of raw vegetables, then you eat a little bit of cooked vegetables. So 50% of your bowl, पहले आप सब्जी खा लो. आलू की गोभी आलू बनाया था, फंसी आलू बनाया था, जो बनाया था, आधी कटोरी सब्जी खा लो. Then your आधी कटोरी of protein, whether it was dal or akha moong or chicken. Finish half of it. Now, use the other half with your carbohydrates and enjoy it. So you will take your chawal or your roti, automatically one mission accomplished is that your appetite is a tad bit lowered because you've eaten the salad, then you've eaten the sabzi, then you've eaten the protein. So maybe you might not finish the whole bowl of carbs depending on your hunger. And then 2 is now you take that bowl and then you mix it up with your carb and your sabzi and enjoy it.
Now, Pooja, I also know you are one nutritionist who insists that a individual needs to have X number of carbs, because that's the first thing we typically cut out of a diet the minute we go on a diet. Why are eating carbs so important?
Carbs are your energy givers. Okay, we do many things in a day and we want the energy to run through the day. We have to make our mind work and our body work, and carbs are your energy givers. The first function of carbs is protein sparing action. We all know proteins are crucial. We all know proteins are required for many reasons, including our hair and our skin and our immunity and our rejuvenation and our growth when we are children. The first function of carbs is protein sparing action. कि भाई मैं हूँ, गाड़ी मैं चलाऊंगा, मैं पेट्रोल हूँ, तू अपना काम कर, तू कूलेंट है, तू गाड़ी का इंजन कूल रख. Because the minute you take away carbs, who runs the show? Who gives you the energy? So those same, now just as a simple basic nutrition, your carbs give you 4 calories per gram. Your proteins give you 4 calories per gram. But the minute you don't eat carbs and just eat proteins, those 4 calories per gram are used as petrol to run the car and not as protein for repair, healing, wear and tear and repair.
And what happens to the fat there? I mean, typically we think if we cut the carbs, then the energy is coming from the fat.
See, for you to use fat as a source of energy, both have to be absent.
Okay.
If you have proteins or carbs, the first is going to be them. It's not going to be running the show. If there are proteins and little fat, carbs and proteins and fats, they're not going to be the primary used fuel. After these are exhausted, they will come to this.
Understood.
It will form a pool, right? So, which is why the keto diets, where they say preferentially use fats as a source of fuel, are zero in fiber, and I mean in carbs. Okay, and of course they have protein sources, but they're zero in carbs. So when the carb goes zero, that's when the fats run the show, because your body utilizes the order of ATP production and all of that varies. So it's not that if you cut out the carbs, the fats will come up first. They will use proteins as well. So carbs are crucial. Just remember that if you give the body what the body wants, the body does the rest. So I'm not saying be carb rich. I'm just saying be balanced.
Do you also feel that because our plate is not balanced today, there are a lot of mental health issues and we're losing a lot of our mental balance because of that? If you could elaborate on the same.
So if I'm going to say the first function of carbs is protein sparing action, one of the worst side effects of carbohydrate removal is low energy, more anxiety, more depression, hallucinations. These are all part of carbohydrates, minimal or zero. Okay, so there is a reason and a purpose for every finger of nutrition. There are 5 fingers of nutrition: carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, and minerals. You have to make a fist in every meal. And that's how God, now this is not Puja's 5 fingers, I have put it as 5 fingers because it's easy to explain. But you open any book on human physiology, a balanced plate has to have these five. These three are called macronutrients. These are two are called micronutrients. A balanced plate is one which has all of them. That's how God made this human body to be fed. Okay, so this is not my diet. This is the way the human body is meant to be fed. So taking away a very vital support pillar of your body is handicapping body and mind.
So does that does not mean we go and start having pizzas, pastas, processed carbs, but give us a couple of kitchen carbs that we must include.
Every Indian khana, your roti, makai ki roti, ragi ki roti, bajra ki roti, jawari ki roti, your paranthi, your roti ke wraps, roti ke burritos, roti, chawal, every form of chawal, white rice, brown rice, basmati rice, green rice, jo rice khana enjoy karna hai, there is rice. Then you have idlis and dosas and poha and upma and breads and any carbs which are available. And now we have such innovative people making lovely breads at home, a sourdough bread. All of those are contributing to your carb pool. I'm not saying go and eat. See, it's the simplest way to increase your nutrition quotient is to eat what you can make more at home.
Yeah.
And for us to make our roti, chawal, idli, dosa, upma, poha isn't rocket science.
Yeah. So if you had to design Pooja's plate for 2025, I know carbs are going to be a very, very big factor, but what would the rest be for all of us? Simplified A, B, C, so that anybody who knows will go cook and start eating that Pooja thali.
Puja thali. Then most that follow me have seen my my Instagram stories, which is says what's in my dabba, which I eat in lunch, and what's on my plate is what I eat at dinner. And it's the simplest way of. So my carbo. So remember, Pooja's plate has to have variety. Okay, as much as I love nutrition, I definitely want a variety in taste factor because variety is the spice of life, and we need to keep changing it. So my carb varies. It could be rice or quinoa or a piece of bread or sometimes even spaghetti or noodles, depending on what is the accessory with it. So it will be any carb. Predominantly, it is rice. Okay. There will be definitely some form of veggies. And my favorite way to cook the veggies is the least cooking that you can do to your veggies. So it's just high heat pe, literally 2 minute या 3 minute of sauteing. So usually it'll be all the vegetables, whichever is in the fridge, carrot, fancy, mushrooms, bell peppers, easy. So just lightly saute with a little bit of garlic.
Yeah.
And then I don't mind some fresh herbs on it or even the dried herbs on it. Just adds the taste and flavor. And there will be definitely a protein. If it's lunch, it's dal. And if it's dinner, it is predominantly chicken because I like that as a meal. So we will make them in different forms. They are all simplified cooking versions. They are nothing very fancy, but there will always be some dal or some chicken as my protein source. Those are the only two things. And in dals, I'm very partial. Yellow moong dal is my only favorite dal. So I will make it in different ways, but it's primarily going to be yellow moong dal.
Nice. And give me one vegetable juice that you think Pooja would design for 2025.
Oh, my favorite is tomato, celery, mirchi. It's more like a Bloody Mary.
Oh.
Okay, it's delicious. It works in all weathers and in all seasons. And tomato सबके घर में होता है, मिर्ची सबके घर में होती है, कोतमीर सबके घर में होता है, पुदीना सबके घर में होता है. Celery actually adds that little bit of that
punch,
ting to the drink. So celery हो तो डालो, नहीं है तो उसके बिना भी चलेगा. A pinch of rock salt, a squash of lemon, and definitely one hari mirch because it just enhances it, and slurp it down. Delicious, filling, great for your skin, great for your digestive system, bowel movements. It's very important, guys, that we focus on our bowel movements because as great a skin as you want or digestion that you want or body that you want, if your defecation mode is incomplete or you aren't being able to go to the bathroom properly every single day without aid, then we are starting the whole process with a handicap. So the first thing you need to fix is your bowel movements. You need to go to the bathroom every single day. Some say that even going 2 times or 3 times a week is okay, but it's not. You must go to the bathroom every single day. Preferably, if you go to the same time, then your body clocks its detoxification cycle. It doesn't always have to be in the morning. It could be preferred, but it could even be in the night. But you should try to lock the time so that the body knows when it detoxes most. Okay, so and this glass of vegetable juice really helps you, give you the roughage and the hydration for adequate peristalsis of your bowels, so that it's easy for you to have a clear stomach every morning.
Perfect. Thank you. Now, because we're talking about bowel movement and we're at the gut, a lot of gut inflammation has suddenly gotten a lot of limelight all over the podcasts. What is it? How does it affect us? How does it accelerate aging? And aging, again, is not just of the skin, hair, and nails, but organ aging. I want to touch base on organ aging because I feel that is such a deep topic that we ignore. If you could elaborate.
So inflammation has become kind of a buzzword, and then there are people who are saying, I do an anti-inflammatory diet. See, please remember, what is inflammation? Inflammation is the chort from the outside, is the hurt on the inside that you can't see. So how do you know? Anything that does not suit you is inflammation. For example, if I have dairy, I will instantly get a bloated stomach. I will instantly feel that I need to go to the bathroom. I will be burping and I am uncomfortable. So for me, dairy is inflammatory. For someone, red capsicum can cause gas and indigestion. So red capsicum, I love. But for you, it's inflammation. So what is an anti-inflammatory diet? Is a diet that does not suit you. Who decides your diet? You decide your diet. Okay. So when I say eat 4 bowls of sabzi, eat the sabzi that suits you. The sabzi that doesn't suit, the sabzi that suits me, oh, red capsicum is the best because it has capsaicin and it has this and it has that. But it has such whole goodness, you can't digest it. So for you, it's inflammation. Yeah. So what is an anti-inflammatory diet, guys? Is a diet that does not suit you. Who is the best person to give you that? You. Bajra roti will kill me. Jawari roti, my body will thrive on. For her, it could be something different. So which is the best roti to have? Anti-inflammatory roti to have? There is no one set rule for everyone.
Right.
So the best anti-inflammatory diet can be made by you. You are your best boss. You are your best nutritionist if you learn to listen to you.
So are there blood tests, skin prick tests that one does to find out? How do you find out?
You listen to you. See, everything के shortcuts नहीं होते. Everything का book नहीं होता है. Everything
journal लिखनी पड़ेगी.
Yes. Invest in yourself, guys. See, there are people who are doing thousands of rupees के intolerance tests. Intolerance test is the biggest gimmick. Blood intolerance, food intolerance test. You will come intolerant to everything that you have eaten in the last 7 days because it is only checking the enzyme levels of what are exhausted. So if you have been drinking milk, you will be coming intolerant to milk. So see, remember, there are no shortcuts, guys. There can be allergy tests. That's different. Intolerance is useless. Allergy can be noteworthy to know. People are doing genetic testing to know what will suit me. People are checking their DNA and RNA. Listen to yourself. Yes, you have the resources, you have the money, you want to try it out. I'm not saying don't. I'm saying that you are your best doctor. You are your best blood test and you are your best nutritionist. Listen to yourself. एक डायरी लिख लो, इतनी सारी चीजें लिख लेते, एक डायरी लिख लो. What did you eat? Which sabzi, which dal, which roti? How did you feel after that meal? A smiley or a sad face? Make a few things, make a journal for 7-10 days. You'll catch the culprits. Remove the culprits. You have yourself an anti-inflammatory diet.
I love it. I love it. We're all going to go in and make this journal starting today. For all our viewers watching, this is your homework. Pooja, I also know you've helped Deepika Padukone, you've helped Meera Rajput, pre-pregnancy, post-pregnancy, you've biohacked their glow, their anti-aging, stunning body. If you could tell us a little or share some tips.
Well, I share the same tips with them that I share with you and with you. See, remember, when we look up at celebrities, we see them for where they are. It's not just God-gifted or puja accessorized. It's because they really work hard on themselves. Okay? They do it to the T. They will dot all the I's and dash all the T's of everything that has been taught to them, which is why they look like a Deepika. Okay, so diligence. See, remember, nutrition is simple, but nutrition requires persistency, consistency, and regularity. 2 दिन करो, 4 दिन भूल जाओ, 4 दिन करो, 1 दिन भूल जाओ, 1 दिन करो, 10 दिन नहीं करो, is not the way to go. It's love healing that goes on a daily basis that gives you the end result that you call yourself Deepika.
Lovely. Now, this is from a woman perspective, but for all of the boys watching here as well, she's also helped Ranbir, she's also helped Shahid Kapoor. So, for men, does the same principle apply? I'm guessing yes, but does their protein quotient increase? Does their carb quotient increase? Does the timing of their meals, because a lot of men work out pre, post, how does that change between a man and a woman?
Their nutritional needs are different between you and me and between me and my husband, for example. Okay, so everybody requires the quotient differently. Everybody's palate is different. For example, Ranbir would love his mutton and Shahid does not even eat eggs. So you have to figure out their diets based on what they culturally and religiously like, prefer, and eat. So nutrition varies for everyone and it has to be personalized, which is why if you're going to take my diet or I'm going to follow your diet, I'm not going to see the results and then I'm going to give it up, is because it wasn't made for my body. So yes, that is the most important thing, is personalized nutrition, because depending on your blood profile levels, your hemoglobin levels, your serum calcium levels, your uric acid levels, your B12, D3 levels, your meal plan has to be adjusted for what your body needs and ultimately what is your end goal. So every person has to be given that kind of attention and love. The human body, I know I'm repeating that again and again, it's a self-healing machine. We just have to make sure we're providing it the raw material.
Perfect. Last but not the least, a common concern for all of us is dark circles. Now, I know dark circles is linked to iron deficiency. Of course, the lack of sleep, the lack of hydration. But give me 3 iron-rich items which I can include. I know the beetroot juice, which will also help with the fatty liver. Give me 2 more.
You could do my celery tomato juice. That works as well. Put a big bunch of spinach in it. That will do the job as well. Wheatgrass juice, I think, works really well when it comes to helping our hemoglobin levels, because the chlorophyll in the wheatgrass is very similar in composition to the hemoglobin in our body, and therefore helps people improve iron deficiency anemia, even for those who have thalassemia. So it's one of the very natural ways. You take about 30 grams of wheatgrass, thoroughly wash it like you would wash palak, 1 time, 2 time, 3 time. Put it into a mixie with a little bit of water, blend, strain. You have to remove the fiber completely, otherwise it'll cut your throat inside. Strain it out completely, a pinch of rock salt, a tad bit of lemon, shoot. Fresh wheatgrass juice, one of the best ways to boost your iron levels.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Pooja. We've learned a lot, and this is Pooja Makhija redefining the food pyramid for all of us. Lots more in stock. Stay tuned and happy pampering as always.
Thank you.